Great deal. Let's see. Some more here on the RamosLaw.com text line. Evans, heck no to your idea to sign a tight end in free agency. I want them to draft one. We were talking earlier about a couple of tight ends. One, Juwan Johnson, drafted by Sean in New Orleans. Another one in Tyler Conklin. First with Minnesota, now with the Jets most recently. You've seen both these teams play. What about the idea that instead of using a first-round pick on a tight end, you instead address the issue with a free agent, and that frees you up to go in a different direction with your draft pick?
Yeah, well, I would say that it frees you up to still draft a first-round tight end. I mean, like you need multiple guys. You need 4 guys in that room that can play. And you really haven't established it. Like, are you going to be upset if they decide to let go of Troutman and go with Juwan Johnson instead? I don't think anybody's going to be, oh my God, how are we going to win a game with that? So I think ultimately you want to get a young tight end. You want to get a guy that can be multiple, right? You want to get a guy that can be in the motion game and be in line and blocking and not be a tell and can only block on the backside of stuff and can be a front side guy, can split outside the numbers and get matchups out there, be it whether they give you a corner out there or whether they bring out a safety or a linebacker over there. So like I want a guy that's a difference maker, but you need multiple guys at that position in today's NFL to be effective.
All right, so I hadn't thought of this until we started the conversation. I look at the running back room as a complete reset. That if none of these guys were back next year, I'd be okay with.
Yeah.
A complete reset of the running back room. I don't know. If you had to pick one guy to be back from.
I would take Estime.
You take Estime?
Yeah.
Why?
I just think he's got some inside run ability, some contact balance ability. Yeah, he started off because he put the ball on the ground a couple times where he wasn't getting very many opportunities. But I think that's one guy to me that his skill set matches that of the NFL. Now, I don't know how well he catches the ball or any of that stuff, but there's a lack of dynamic ability with Williams, and there's just a lack of overall ability to break tackles. And McLaughlin, just nice story. But
you don't see. I'm trying to think of how he would be used, right? You're thinking that third down.
I just think he's too much
like an Austin Eckler type. You don't see any type of potential for that.
I just think he's too much. He's too much of a tell.
What's that mean?
Just like if he's in there on third down, he's not picking up blitz, so he's got to be out in the route. It's just he's too small. I mean, if he was in there as a blitz pickup guy, I'm bringing blitz on that side every single time because I'm just going to truck him. So, it becomes one of those things where you as a play caller, you have to eliminate part of your offense because there's certain things I don't think that guy does well. And so that just makes it hard. Third down is hard enough as it is. If you get into a third down situation where you're saying, hey, man, this dude can't catch the ball or this dude can't run the ball or this guy can't pick up a blitz, that is not a position you want to be in. And so, it creates a situation where you become very predictable.
Okay.
And I don't want that.
So if you're okay with almost a complete reset of the running back room, I'd say the same thing about the tight end room, which maybe lends to your idea that you could sign one in free agency and also draft one in the first round. Is there one of these tight ends that you would want or need back? Troutman, Kroll,
I like
Atkins.
I like Kroll's potential. Atkins played a little both fullback and tight end, so
more of a hybrid type.
Yeah, he's more of a hybrid type. So that would be a guy that would be intriguing to me. But there's nobody I'm like, God, we got to have that guy's got to come back. Now I think you're still in the position of development of Kroll, right? He could, and same thing with Atkins, but those two to me are the two guys that you would look at and say, hey man, that would be that could round out a tight end room because one of them plays fullback as well, And then if we got a Juwan Johnson and we got a what's the kid's name, Loveland out of Michigan, If we got those two guys, then we'd have a nice, 4 tight end mixture in our tight end room.
Isn't that kind of, though, a lot to invest? Like day 1, day 2 free agent and first-round pick, both tight ends? Or is it
not
that important a position that you
I would
money well spent?
Right. I would look at the last 3 Super Bowls in a row where Kansas City goes to. I would tell you Travis Kelce and Noah Gray have been a huge part, especially not this year, but last year. They spent, this will blow you away. When you think of Kansas City, you think of a team that doesn't really run the ball, a team that's going to throw the ball a lot. Do you know that they were a top 3 team as far as 2 tight end formations are concerned? Them, San Francisco, which San Francisco makes sense, right? But them, San Francisco, and there was one other team, I can't remember off the top of my head, that ran more 2 tight end formations in games than any other team in football. I think Kansas City might have been number 1, as a matter of fact. So it is one of those situations where, that is a big part of people's programs, because ultimately, if you've got guys that can really catch the ball and really can run routes, you make a team make a decision. Are we going to play you in base, or are we going to play you in nickel? And if we play in nickel, well, that could advantage us for running the ball. If they play you in base, advantage us throwing the ball. So if you have that opportunity, man, you can be a real nightmare for defensive coordinators.
Hey, when it comes to the offensive positions, I would not mind ganging up on the tight end position. I would not mind throwing extra resources at the tight end position.
Sure.
Certainly not at running back. Certainly not at wide receiver. I'm desperate to see what well, I shouldn't say elite. I don't want to go right there right away, but definitely what an above average tight end would look like here. And it just seems to me that if you're trying to build this with Bo, that if you can just have a tight end that he and Bo can just sort of grow together, man, what that would do for that offense, and just for us as fans watching the game, how it would look different after all these years of watching the Broncos play offense without a good tight end, without an above-average tight end. I mean, we got to go back, to the days of Julius Thomas,
right?
Joel Dreesen. I mean, seriously, when was the last time we had a legit tight end here? And I'd like to see one here and see what that looks like, especially paired with Bo and Sean.
Sean talked about strength in the middle of the football field, right? And we talk about it on the defensive side of the ball with D tackles, middle linebackers, and safeties. But strength in the middle of the field on the offensive side of the ball. So you have a tight end that is a problem, especially in today's NFL where you're playing a lot of that two shell. Like what it does opening up the in-cutting routes, the deep in-cutters. So when you're starting to run concepts like, basic with a post behind it, a pin concept, post in, right? So somebody in the middle of the football field with a post behind it. And if that tight end is a threat, well, that safety on that side has got to he's got to honor that threat if you run that route at 12 to 14 yards, right? So you're getting one-on-one, and normally you're getting that one-on-one with some outside leverage. So, you're getting great positioning. Or if you're running the dagger concepts where, somebody's got to run with that tight end up the middle of the field or with that receiver up the middle of the field in those in-cutting routes that Drew Brees threw so exceptionally well. And, that route's coming in at 18 yards in that hole, and so it's becoming a 25-yard gain if you just complete it, and Bo Nix throws the crap out of that ball. Mm-hmm. So, you get a guy strength in the middle of football field that can eat up those safeties, guess what happens? It opens up your passing game on the outside. I just think it's really one of those things that we would really benefit from here that we haven't had. There hasn't been a tight end that truly, when you're game planning on Wednesday or Tuesday as a coaching staff, you're not going, man, how are we going to deal with Lucas Kroll?
Right.
It's just no offense to Lucas Kroll, but it's just not. That's not happening.
You're not close.
Exactly. Thank you, Sean.
Come on. We kid because we love, Cecil.
Right.
We kid because we love. Cecil and Josh coming up at